Hello, one and all, and welcome back to Final Drive Sim Racing. Hey everybody, you know what time it is. It's Thursday night, which means Final Drive Sim Racing. We are back, and we are at Endurance Week, so that means we have an 80-minute race ahead of us, and we are at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona in España. And that was my worst Spanish accent of all time. 18-minute race, 15-minute qualifying session, which is coming your way very, very shortly, and variable conditions as always. And yeah, we are rearing to go. And your commentary team, as always, is myself. And we are missing Luke Dugdale tonight, as he is late with work, etc. So it looks like it's just going to be the two of us, and of course the other person being Mr. Aaron Markham. Welcome, Aaron.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to another endurance event of Final Drive. Speaking to a couple of the guys last night, Mike, I think this is going to be a tricky one.
Yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one, and we're just about to get into quali. So just before we do that, I'm going to play the track guide that I've done for this. It'll give us a chance to take a look around the circuit, and then we'll discuss it when we come back and have a little look-see. So here's my track guide from earlier, and then we'll get into quali. Hi guys, welcome to another track guide. Here we are at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, and we are going to take a drive around in the NSX as always, and give you guys an insight into what the guys can expect to happen over the coming race. We've got an endurance race this week, which means 80 minutes, which is not going to be easy for these guys. It's a technical circuit, a lot going on, but they do have a couple of straights where they can rest their mind a little bit and get a bit of a respite from the challenge of the track. And this is one of them. So 100-meter board, you are hard on the brakes down towards the first corner, down to second gear, back on the power, patient, and then back on it again. Got to be patient through this section, kiss the apex, and again, and then full power now down to the right-hander. As you come towards the shadow, you want to be hard on the brakes, get it turned in, and back on the power earlier than you think, because even though it keeps twisting, the car can handle it, and back down through the gears for the hairpin. I've run a little bit wide there. That's what a lack of practice will do for you. Down to second then for the left-hander, kiss the apex, and then back on the power, up towards the right-hander. You just want to scrub off some speed, patient on the throttle, back on the power, through the next straight, down towards the next hairpin. Again, 100-meter board, on the brakes, get the car turned in, first gear, and then power out. Cut that corner as much as you can, and then this one again is one of those long ones where you have to be patient and hard on the brakes, get it turned in. For the right-hander, don't carry too much speed, because you've got to be hard on the brakes again. For the left-hander, and the final chicane, and then through the last corner, flat out, and across the line in a 1:46.5. So I mean, that isn't certainly going to challenge, as I say every week, any of the guys in this league, but hopefully that gives you another insight into what the drivers will be experiencing today. And I get to drive ACC in another circuit in my Honda NSX, so I'm happy. Back to the live action. So there we go. That is the Circuit de Catalunya a la Michael Bullen. So, yeah. Aaron, Circuit de Catalunya, a track obviously we'll know well as F1 buffs, and a track they use for testing. The reason being it's got a little bit of everything. Some categories doesn't always lend itself to the best racing, which is a criticism of it. But yeah, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, agree with the. It's kind of like a Marmite track, and that's not necessarily in opinions of how races are. That's more of a car-dependent Marmite, we should say. So, it seems to be open wheels. It's a bit dull, but you know, we've done races in touring cars here, and it's not actually that terrible. I can see guys probably struggling a lot with the left-hand side tyres. Obviously, it's the main sort of bulk of this track is spent going left, and that seems to be the. That was very Michael Owen of me there.
I like that reference.
It seems to be the highest point loads on the tyres are in the left-hand corners, especially through your turn 3, turn 4, the fast right kink where the second DRS zone would be effectively. Those are corners that just take it out of the tyres. I was talking to Michael Mooney and Paul last night, and they were both saying it doesn't matter what they're doing with the cars, it's just murdering tyres. And then especially for the ballast guys, it's even worse. So, tyre murderer could be an equaliser. I'm not too sure what GT cars are like around Barcelona, so I'll remain impartial, but I'm hopeful we'll see a good race.
Yeah, fingers crossed we will. I mean, I can vaguely remember us having some good races around here in the past, and the cars feel great around here. Just on the track, that was no setup, literally first lap. I bunged in a 46.5. Which would have me middle of the pack at the moment. With a bit of setup and stuff, I'd probably be closer to about a second behind Foster. But the reason I'm mentioning that isn't to brag, is to say I'm not surprised to see Davis being strong in the Honda there towards the front of the grid at the moment, because it does suit the car, this track. It suits the McLaren and the Honda sort of setup, so I'm expecting those to be quite strong. But of course, we'll expect Kingston and Ingle to be strong. Even if it's not the track for their car, they're just damn talented and good at what they do. So they've got that on their side. But Morris up in third as well. Yeah, just to say Morris up in third in the McLaren as well. So it's definitely that type of track for McLarens and Hondas, as Foster sets another fastest lap of 44.4. So Foster is currently your provisional pole sitter, and then followed by Kingston. We've got the graphic working this week, guys. Sorry, I didn't realise that we could have that graphic, because it's the way it's worded is something very different in the settings to qualifying lap delta. It's called something really weird, and that's why I didn't realise it was there. But we've got it, so you can actually see the deltas live on screen now between first, second, first, and so on. So Wes pops himself up into second. He's just a tenth off the pace as Kingston abandons a lap. Wes looking at purple. He was flashing them for a brief moment, but Foster's still in pole. So looking like a good mixed up grid here. Again, quite a small one, only 16 cars, missing a few regulars as well. But we've got some of the midfield guys towards the top there, haven't we? Morris and Davis ahead of Reed, for example. So it looks like it's going to be an exciting race, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Again, going back to just speaking with the guys last night for a little bit before I hopped off. I think Dom was looking really quick as well, but I think he's got a qualifying ban for last week, so be interesting to see him carve his way through the pack. And of all the type of events to get a qualifying ban at, it would be an endurance one, wouldn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that, really. It's certainly a case of having the time to carve his way through. We saw, a Kyle Lamy from the back. He gave one of the drives we've ever seen in sim racing. Never mind just in this league, it was just an exceptional drive. You know, I came close to repeating those heroics last night. No, I joke, of course, I joke. But no, you know, I mean, we said at the time, didn't we? It was something really special to witness as we see Birkhouse does take a provisional pole position with just over 5 minutes left of this session. He goes ahead of Foster up into pole. So that Audi not looking too bad around you either. Wes, I would guess, probably fully recovered from COVID now after being unwell with it for a few weeks, but still managing to race. So he looks like he's back on form, mate.
Definitely. Yeah, that Lamborghini's looking pretty sharp, isn't it? Probably, I think Matt might be a little bit disappointed with P11. He's still in the pits, so we could see something from him. But we saw Matt running pretty well at Brands until there was that incident down at turn 2. So I think it could. Clearly, it's a good track for Wes. It could just be that Wes likes this track, but it could be a Lamborghini track as well. Who knows? It could be a good night for Lamborghinis and a good night for McLarens. I tell you who we look to be missing, Mike. Is there no Rich Arnold this week?
It doesn't look like we got Rich Arnold or Ash Humphreys this week, which is a shame because they're two people that could have gone really well around you, being in Hondas and McLarens as well, which look like they're strong around you. So that is a bit of a shame. Yeah, it looks like we are missing them. Whether they'll make it in the next couple of minutes before the end of quali, I don't know.
That's why I thought I'd mention it just purely on that basis.
I haven't seen anything about them being missing. So no pre-notification. So I don't think it's a premeditated miss. I'm assuming life has happened and something's cropped up a little bit late, but which is a shame. And again, it's a shame we haven't quite got sort of 20 odd drivers, because it does make it a bit more interesting. It would make Dom's race a bit more interesting for us as well, but he's still got a lot of work to do, as we said, from back there. But just to give you guys a quick update on where we are with ballast. So as my esteemed colleague mentioned, Dominic Ingle does have a qualifying ban for the incident last week, so we will start at the back. Track temperature is very high, as my colleague also said, so the tyres will die. But just to update you on ballast, so Kingston still the championship leader, so he has 30 kilograms. Dominic Ingle is 25, so we've got to take that into account. Last time he raced from the back of Kyle Army, he had no ballast, and this time with a tyre heavy track, he does have ballast, so that could impact. Foster, 20 kilograms. Lloyd Reed with 15 kilograms. That could explain Reed sort of being behind the likes of Morris, or sort of equal with the types of Davis this week due to that bit of ballast. Birkhouse with the last bit of ballast of 10 kilograms. Seems nothing compared to the ballast that we run in our league with the championship leader getting 100 kilograms. We're obviously very different cars, very different characteristics, so you can't really compare the two, I guess.
No, you can't. It certainly gives more sympathy to us for running the level of ballast that we do. For those who don't know, I think the max ballast for these guys is 30 kilograms, and we're on 100 for the max, so we're effectively carrying around another me in the car, which I can tell you isn't light. Something I was going to touch on, Mike, just with, I know there's only a couple of minutes remaining, was the mini league. I noticed Richard posted a little something in the Discord, and I just wanted to mention it for the viewers, because I don't think we've touched on it a lot. But
no, I'll just go to multi-screen, and then I should be able to bring the information up.
Look at that.
And
it's almost like you planned it.
There it is. So it's a little bit small, but if you watch it on your tellies, guys, when you're watching the replay, you'll be fine. Take us through it. I don't know if you want to talk us through where people stand, mate.
I'll try my hardest, but bear with me, because I still struggle to wrap my tiny little pea brain around this. But I'm just going to reiterate what Richard said, which is that himself, so that's Richard Arnold and Graham Morris and Ash Humphreys, have been promoted out of the Legacy League, and that is because they have achieved 3 top 8 finishes this season. Matty Heaton has been promoted out of the Rookie League after achieving 2 top 10 finishes. So the Legacy League is looking a little bit more tasty now, with last year's amateur contenders Alan and Dan fighting it out at the top, with Damo not that far behind. The newly promoted Matty Heaton, yeah, let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
That's basically my input. Zuber as well in the Baltec Bronze League, leading the way. Obviously missing quite a few of those guys in the Bronze League, but hey ho, you know, life can sometimes get in the way, so no problems with that. But yeah, just check out those league tables there. Obviously Mike's got it on screen. Couple of little mini leagues. It's mainly just to cover the guys who aren't necessarily winning week in, week out, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much it's the same as, you know, we run a similar system that just gives people something to fight for. So we've got a main championship, we've got a championship for anybody who doesn't win a race. I mean, touring cars being slightly different, you do get a lot more race winners than what you get in GTs. So, you know, that does eliminate quite a few people. And then, you know, we've got power rankings, so, you know, so the people with the most poles and fastest laps, and it's just all sorts of different things, and it keeps drivers interested and keeps them fighting for something. So, new fastest lap, they're right at the death from Wes Bakehouse, so he cements his pole. Kingston's finished, so he's out of it. So the question now is, Foster, who is showing his purple at the moment, has he got enough in the tank to get himself onto pole? He needs just over a tenth of a second. He's 0.103 of a second away. Everyone else, I believe, has finished, apart from Darrell Weavers is still out there as well, so he could also progress, but he does need to find nearly a second, which is a lot of time to find at this part of the session. But here we go, Foster coming up to the line. He must be up on his time, or he probably wouldn't be completing the lap, but he doesn't do it, and he finishes third. So Bakehouse on pole, then Kingston second, Foster third. Kevin DeHaan popped out of nowhere. We've been missing him the last couple of weeks, I think, haven't we? But he's back this week, and he's got the Aston Martin up into fourth. Graham Morris with a superb fifth position in qualifying. Matty Heaton, another great qualifying session there. He's in sixth. Lloyd Reed struggling a little bit compared to what we've seen. He's in seventh. Good session from Davis, finds himself in eighth. Damien Humphries ninth. That's about where he's been this season. Paul Prescott 10th. Michael Mooney 11th. Zuba's back this week. Great to see. He's 12th. Dan Stevens 13th. You'll probably be a little bit disappointed with that, Dan, I would imagine. He's definitely got more pace than that, so we'll see how he progresses. Darrell Weaver's 14th. George Hall, a newcomer, in 15th. And, of course, Dom Ingle, who was not allowed to qualify due to the incident last week with Humphries, starts at the back in 16th place. So I just heard a little ping, I believe. Aaron, who we got?
We've got Mr. Adam Foster, the man starting in P3. Good evening, Ad. You were showing purple there on that last lap. Did you just lose some time, or is that our software glitching out a little bit?
Final sector 3. I lost it in the last chicane. I hit a curb a little bit, and then just lost time. I was a tenth up coming out of that last corner, and it just dropped and dropped and dropped. So could have possibly been pole, but yeah, it's good lap.
Man, gutted you couldn't even get P2. I mean, you were only 3 thousandths off Alex, so it must have been you must have lost a heck of a lot of time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did hit the curb, and then you can't get on the power quick enough, and then just dropped to, I think it was like 0.02 I gained at the end of it. But I was up. Man. I was up. But yeah. So
how are the tyres holding up, mate? Because I was speaking with Michael and Paul, and they said it was a bit tragic, and they felt a lot of sympathy for you with ballast. So I just thought I'd get it from the horse's mouth first.
Yeah, they die after about 15 minutes. It's because of the temperature here is quite high. We've got a track of 30, which should go down with the time of day, but it won't go down much. But yeah, they're dying 20 minutes, then that's it. You can't really push at all after that.
I suppose that's probably a worst case scenario then with Wes on pole. It's a little bit of a sting that with him having no ballast. So
he's got 10 kilos.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah.
Apologies. Either way though,
10 seconds.
You three guys with ballast, that's going to be that's not going to be easy. Are you going to be looking forwards, or are you going to be looking backwards at
Always
people
looking
like
forward.
Kevin?
Always looking forward,
Good
mate.
lad.
That's the way it has to go in this league. You always got to look forward and see what happens. But Wes has got
Brilliant, mate.
some good pace here. He has had all week in practice, and I thought I had the edge on Alex, but clearly he got the better of me on this race.
I mean, what
That's
strikes
the
me
way it
this
goes.
season, Adam, is the margins are so fine, aren't they? We're seeing almost F1 level margins between you sort of top 3 or 4 week in, week out. It must be really exciting this season to be involved in that as a battle and a challenge for you.
It is, yeah. The last 2 seasons, as you know, I won them both, but there was obviously challenges, like Wes was still quick, Dom was still here, but I won them both. And I said at the end of the last one that I wanted someone to come in and challenge, and Alex has done that, and Kevin behind me is really quick. Wes has pulled his finger out of his backside and learned how to drive properly. So yes, it's good, and Lloyd is getting quick as well. He's going to be up there with us as well.
Yeah, the driver development has been great to see. I know we've said that a few times over the season, but seeing these guys develop, season on season and get better is really exciting. But anyway, yeah, you've got 80 challenging minutes ahead of you. I hope you only have to make the 1 pit stop, so I bid you good luck, and we'll speak to you in 80 odd minutes.
Thank you. Cheers, boys.
No bother.
Adam Foster there, joining us on his warm-up lap to the grid. Well, I say to the grid, they don't do a standing start like F1, as into the grid, but to the start, basically. So I just noticed that my the lap thing has lost its background for some reason, so I'm just going to try and sort that a sec. So what are you thinking, Aaron? What kind of outcome do you think we're going to get from this? If these guys are really struggling that much with the ballast, do you reckon we could get a surprise here?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a shock winner. But what you can't rule out is, with the track cooling down so much, tyres are lasting a quarter of an hour in the first stint. It could be a case that the second stint the tyres come back and the fast guys might sort of work their way back towards the front, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe first stint the top 3 really struggle and someone like Dehaan or Morris creeps up and takes the lead, but then in the second stint the tyres sort of come back to our starting top 3 and we could see a sort of last ditch battle for the lead.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose as they burn, of course time will tell. But yeah, as they burn the fuel, I think that's what you're alluding to. As the car gets light towards the end, it should come back towards these faster guys at the front.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. We are just moments away then from the start of this race, and yeah, just obviously. Yeah, getting prepped really. I mean, this we're going to settle in. It'll be hectic for the first few moments, as it always is. And we got a green light and foot flat on the floor, and away they go down to the first corner. Look at that view, helicam right down to the first corner with 16 cars all vying for position. And Beer goes with a really good start. Dehaan under a bit of pressure from the cars behind. It looks like Lloyd Reed's going to go up the inside of Dehaan, and the other guys behind just trying to keep it nice and simple, nice and clean through the first corner. But Dehaan gets through there. Pretty much unscathed. Oh, he's gone really wide there. He's going to cut back across, and that's going to be really close. Morris losing a few positions as Heaton is up past him as well. And Bierkhout's heading down now in towards the right-hander. Plenty of pressure. Oh, a little twitch there from the Audi of Lloyd Reed, but he keeps it nice and simple. So here we go. Bierkhout leads them down through the left-hander up towards the kink left and right, and Heaton's had an issue. He's had a bit of an off. He's lost quite a few positions. He's basically almost down in last place, but we will go back to the battle for the lead as they head through the right-hander. And this one I always find tricky, Aaron, because you've got to pick your braking zone for this for the hairpin avenue, and it's just so easy to get it wrong. You either brake too soon or too late.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. One thing I will say is that these guys are blessed with the old layout because the new one is even trickier to get right. It's basically a double apex. It's horrible.
Yeah, do you know what? I'd forgotten they'd even changed the layout, to be honest. It completely slipped my mind. It's been so long since we saw... Oh, Wes getting really, really wide there, having a little twitch. But he just manages to collect himself and maintains the lead. But yeah, I'd forgotten all about it. It's been so long since we saw the F1 here that it hadn't occurred to me. But there we go. They cross the line for the end of lap 1. And it's still pretty much as it was, apart from Matty Heaton, who had that issue. And Dominic Ingle is already up into 10th place. So we haven't managed to see any of Dom's overtakes, but we'll keep an eye on it, and next time we see him start to come through the field, we'll get some of his overtakes on the replay. But that was a bit of a hectic first lap, so didn't get the opportunity. But 6 places in 1 lap is pretty impressive, isn't it, Brent?
He's just Max Verstappen his way through the pack, hasn't he? He started last and it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's disgusting, really. They should be ashamed of themselves having that kind of pace, but you know, there we go. He no doubt will be vying for victory at some point. I got a feeling that he will find his way through and find his way to the back of this battle. So
Kevin DeHaan's looking a bit fruity behind Adam. He nearly had a run up up into turn 4 there.
yeah, I mean, Adam said he was going to be quick, and it looks like that is going to be the case. Sorry, it just hadn't changed the graphic back to race gaps. There we go, I've done that now. So we can see the gaps between the drivers, and as you can see, very little time between these top guys. So here goes Kingston, Foster and DeHaan all following each other. Then you've got Morris in a bit of no man's land at the moment, and then Alan Davis in 6th at the moment in the Honda, followed by Humphreys. So those are the guys, Davis and Humphreys, who've really improved this season, but they've had bad luck in that other people have had accidents with them and made contact with them. These are 2 drivers, I think, today who will be really hoping for a nice clean race, but we'll come back to that in just a sec as we see DeHaan challenging Foster down into the first corner. Foster a little bit later on the brakes, but his entrance and exit of the corner was compromised. He had a poor line through there. I'll give it to DeHaan the run now up into the right-hander.
Yeah, it seems that Adam's car's almost riddled with a bit of understeer. Just watching it through that last sector, it just doesn't want to make the corner. Oh, he shut the door there on Kevin. That was very good defending there from Adam. It seems like in this early phase of the race, either Adam's struggling or trying to save his tyres a little bit, but I think it's the earlier. Could only be a matter of time before Kevin gets past.
Yeah, I wonder whether he's tried something on setup to sort of see himself through, you know, to the halfway point to make his one and only pit stop, because obviously the pit stops are so costly in terms of time. You only want to make one if you can help it, but I wonder whether he's tried something and it's just not worked out for him. But time will tell. There's still a long way to go in this race. But yeah, back to those guys. You know, we were talking. You know, Davis, Humphreys. Those are the guys we really want to see have a nice, simple, consistent race and finish with a good haul of points, isn't it? Because they've had some terrible luck with the people crashing into them this season.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think there might have been an instance towards the back there. Lloyd Reed's just dropped right down the pack. But yeah, totally reiterate your comments. It's just it's not quite clicked sometimes this season, has it?
No, it hasn't. And like I say, it's just been accident after accident. I don't know how Lloyd ended up down there. Actually, I don't know what happened because I didn't see him lose those positions. So I don't know why he was battling with Weavers anyway, but he was, and then that contact was made. Not intentional, of course. It was a car out of control type of accident. But yeah, did you see what happened to Lloyd for him to end up down there?
No, I only noticed it because there was the waved yellow for that crash. I didn't actually see how he got there or any sort of anything that would flag why he was there in the first place.
So we just saw, well, a brief glimpse of Dominic Ingle getting past Michael Mooney, but not much of it because the replay decided it didn't want to catch it. But there we go. Dominic Ingle is up into 8th position, so he's made up another 2 positions. And Yeah, I suppose the silver lining then for Reed is the fact that it's a long old race. He's got plenty of time to come back into this yet, and no doubt mistakes will be made, as they always are in endurance races, as fatigue kicks in towards the end. These things do happen.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple of the guys in front of him aren't necessarily as quick as Lloyd. So looking at sort of Zuber and Dan, it just doesn't seem to be clicking quite right tonight. I can certainly see Matty and Lloyd creeping their way back onto the back of those guys.
So, that's a lovely angle there of Humphreys challenging the back of that Honda NSX, and Humphreys.
You just like that camera angle because it's a Honda.
Oh well, yeah, I'm also on board with the Lexus, which is, another car manufacturer.
Japanese buyers.
Well, ever so slightly, of course. JDM boy, and Humphrey's going to have a little look at the inside. And just backs out of it. But these two both going to be under huge pressure very shortly, as Dominic Ingle is right there alongside them now. So he's going to be looking to make moves and get himself up onto the back of that top four at the moment, and up into fifth as soon as possible, which you've got to say looks pretty much a case of when not if, with the pace he's shown in these first 8 minutes. Still a long time to go, but he's certainly shown the pace to challenge those guys. So we are watching the battle now for sixth, which is Davis versus Humphreys versus Ingle. So Humphreys, I guess it's a question, Aaron, is do you fight Ingle and make him work for it and have a battle, or do you just let him go and then try and follow him through, because he's clearly faster?
Yeah, it's no brands this week, is it? Big incident in the back there. That was one of the Mercedes. Yeah, I'd let Dom go and try and follow him through. It's really not a Damo's battle, that one.
So just a little accident with Prescott.
It seems to be catching a couple of people out. That I think it's turn 9, that right-hander.
Yeah, he was running in 10th, I think, or 11th, and 10th he was. Yeah, it's just snapped on him, hasn't it? Very, very strange. Very strange.
It seems to be that some cars really don't like that inside curb. It looked as if he lost it on the curb, or started losing it as a result of being on the curb, saved it, and it just snapped into the gravel.
Yeah.
I've sadly got that T-shirt and worn it many times.
You and me both, my friend. And yeah, I mean, just the thing, harking back to last race with Davis, with the best defence one of the best defensive drives we've seen in a long time. This could be problematic for Ingle if he gets tied up behind these guys for too long. He's not going to be rushing his way through to the front anytime soon, is he?
No, and especially with Kingston all over the back of Wes, those two guys need all the time they need all the time they can get. As we know how quick Dom is. The longer he's held up behind someone, the better, really. I mean, Watkins Glen was a prime example of just what could have been if he wasn't held up so much. He still managed to creep his way through the pack, but not to the extent of Kyle Army. So I'm sure that those guys in first, second and third will be keenly watching the gaps, as Damo seems to have just launched it there on the inside. He must have had a pedal failure or something. He just didn't stop at all, did he?
No, it's very strange. He's obviously just missed the pedal or something, but so there we go, he carries on. But yeah, unfortunately that is him down to 8th, but he just needs to try and stick with this now, not feel the pressure from Mooney from behind. Just try and follow Dom through and then get back on to challenging the Honda NSX of Mr. Alan Davis. So Beekhouse still in first, still under pressure from Kingston, but no movement there. Foster now best part of 5 seconds behind those guys, and Dehaan still challenging him, but those guys not quite in the league of the front two today. Morris then in 5th. He's a little bit on his own in no man's land, and then you've got this battle we've been watching between Davis, Ingle Humphries and Mooney joining that party now as well, with Dan Stevens there not too far behind in the background, so Dan Stevens having a better race than he did quali, which is good to see.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I was just going to touch on, Mike, we are starting to creep towards that 15-minute window, so I just wonder if some of these guys are starting to feel the effects of the tyre wear.
Yeah, absolutely, could well be. I mean, we don't know from speaking to Foster whether that was car specific to the McLaren, but I mean, certainly there isn't going to be a huge delta in tyre wear between these cars. They should all be pretty similar. So apart from, you know, the ballast carrying cars will obviously have it a bit worse than the others, but yeah, it certainly is a possibility that that is happening. So here we are watching Ingle. Oh, it looks like he's going to make a move up the inside, but Davis hangs it round the outside. Very well driven there from Davis, and through he goes to the final corner, still in position.
Well.
Say that again, sorry.
Sorry, mate. Heaton managed to get past Zuber. I'm not sure if Zuber made a little mistake there, or
yeah. Let's take a look. See, we like a replay.
Hopefully we get it.
We just missed it, but yeah, he was. It was a mistake from Zuber out of the hairpin, and
as we say that, Dom makes his move on Alan. You can't catch anything live, can you?
I swear to. What are the chances, eh? What are the chances? You never know. We might actually catch it at the end of this. No, we're not going to. So
I have a sneaky feeling this could be a PDF move into turn 1, though.
Let's go back. Yeah, we are going to get to watch it, and it was a PDF move into turn 1. PDF is our term for textbook, because let's be fair, it's 2022, and nobody reads books anymore. And yeah, that very much was PDF into turn 1, and through he goes.
Though, quite a big gap to the back of Graham Morris's McLaren, so let's just keep an eye on that delta. We know, I think Dom's running ballast, isn't he? Like we mentioned that earlier, so
yep, he is.
This might not be as easy as creeping up onto the back of the guys he's just overtook and getting past. It could be a little bit more tricky, especially now the tyres are probably entering that dead zone, as Adam was talking to, or alluding to, I should say, earlier.
Yeah, indeed. We see Davis is starting to make a few mistakes now. He was under huge pressure then after a mistake from Humphries, but he's managed to ride that storm and keeps 7th place for now. Yeah, so as we were saying, is a 7.5 second gap for Ingle to get onto the back of Morris. And then another 4.5 seconds then back to that battle for 3rd. So still a long way for Ingle to go, but he's made good progress in this first 15 minutes. But we do still have 65 minutes to go, so anything can happen. And as always, we've got the jeopardy of the pit stops, Aaron, which always cause us plenty of entertainment.
Yeah, it certainly makes it a little bit fruity if not that we ever really have a dull race, but if there's ever a race where there's not that much happening, the pit stops seem to can quite easily seem to make or break the race. I mean, I think, was it Donington where leaders swapped this season?
Yeah. We've seen it, you know, quite a few times now, which is why we mention it. It's not, you know, it's not just a passing comment. We've actually seen it happen. So. It's even to the point where even Foster being 5 seconds behind the lead, that isn't the end of the world, because when the pit stops happen, you know, one slight mistake in the pit stop and all of a sudden you are, you know, a position or 2 or 3 from where you were, and it'll be a question of, has anybody saved their tyres? Could they go long, which will then give them much fresher tyres at the end of the race with a lighter car, and potentially make them really, really fast. So all these tactics will play out as the evening unfolds.
I think strategically that'll be the way to go, Mike. I agree with you there. I know you weren't necessarily saying that was the right way, but I think that's actually going to be the best way to run this race.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there is no right or wrong as such. It is down to driving style, it is down to the car, you know, the setup, the conditions. But you know, there is usually a fastest way to run it, and I suspect anybody who does have the ability to eke their tyres out in the first stint and get to maybe 50-55 minutes, just that little bit extra would.
I think Stevens and Heaton in the background battling away there. There was side by side through turn 2 in the background.
Let's just have a look at the replay, if I can get the button to work, and see.
I was watching that Delta the whole time thinking, are we going to miss another one?
Oh, of course we're going to miss it.
Don't make the move, don't make the move.
But Heaton got past Stevens into turn 1, but just went long, and then Stevens fought his way back through. So, good stuff.
Classic switchback.
Classic indeed.
I love that. I love making moves like that, especially in GTs and touring cars where it is all about momentum more than just shoving your nose up the inside. Moves like that are
Humphreys
really cool. That came from a long way back.
Just gets his nose up the inside. Oh, a little touch of doors there, but nothing too sinister. And Humphreys makes his way through. And great move there. Let's just take a quick look.
Caught one live.
Let's just, and we're going to watch it again because we caught it live, so why not, innit? We're going to go to the onboard if I can find the right camera. Late on the brakes, into the hairpin, got it stopped, got it turned.
That's an awesome move.
And through he went. So absolutely outstanding stuff there from Humphreys, and gets himself up into 7th. And yeah, good drive from him. Stevens and Heaton still battling away in the background, and that is good to see.
Oh, it's basically, I think Matt was clever there and clocked onto what Dan was going to do, just covered that move off.
Yeah, he's
wasn't having any of it, but that's allowed Zuber the run on Dan now. That could cost Dan 2 places.
Could do Zuber just looking at the inside.
Side
Oh, he was very close to contact.
Close.
It was,
Yeah.
but not to happen. But you can see Lloyd Reeder's fighting his way back through now. He's just a couple of seconds off the back of this battle we're watching, so he'll be on the verge of the top 10 very soon. And again, that early mistake or whatever did happen to Lloyd isn't the end of the world, as there's still plenty of time for him to fight his way back through the field. So where are we? We are still status quo at the front. Not a lot changing there. Foster just holding station, still that 4.5-5 seconds behind those leaders, so it all appears to have just settled down now, and I think a bit of tyre management is definitely going on here for these guys. But tactics will play a part in this race. Still a long way to go. Just an hour left. We are 20 minutes in, so we are 25% of the way through this race. Still 75 to go, because that's how maths works.
We are true born Einstein mathematicians.
We are.
Speaking of maths, I've been just keeping a cheeky little eye on that Dominic Ingle gap to Graham. I believe when he got past Damo, we were about the hour and 8 mark remaining, and now we're down to 59 minutes. I might be wrong there, but roughly he's nearly taken a second out for the 10-minute gap. So that's not the inroads we've seen Dom make this season. So a top 4 could be a lot harder than we initially thought here. He might struggle to get onto the back of Kevin, really, because once he gets past, if he gets past Graham, he's got 5 seconds to the back of Kevin to hang.
Yeah, he's what is he? His last lap was 8/10 faster than Kevin DeHaan. I think he's had a couple of scrappy laps by the looking at the data here, so it looks like Ingle might just be struggling with tyre wear. But yeah, so the gap when he got past Humphreys and Davis, I believe, was 8.3 seconds, and it's now 6.7. So yeah, a second and a half in what, 10 minutes. So yeah, he's not, like you say, making that immense progress, but he could well be conserving his tyres. Dom does tend to go long and not pit when everybody else pits. He tends to try to do the overcut rather than the undercut, so that could well be playing a part if he's just holding on to his tyres with a view to pushing towards the end maybe of that stint. So time will tell, I guess, but
yeah, very true.
I'm just, putting that out there as a possibility.
Just hypothesising.
Yes, indeed. So
I've noticed Kevin DeHaan's dropped off the back of Adam Foster a little bit as well.
I wonder whether he pushed his tyres a bit too much in that opening phase, challenging Foster, because his last lap was a second slower than the guys ahead of him. So it looks like he may have pushed his tyres a little bit too hard in the opening stint, and now he's suffering for it. So that is a possibility. But we are currently watching the battle for 8th, and Davis, sadly, has gone from 6th, and he's just falling backwards and backwards in this race so far. But again, he could be one who's just holding on to his tyres and will be coming back stronger in the second stint. We do not know, and we'll probably say that a lot, because a lot of this is unknown. We don't know the tactics the drivers are going to choose. We don't know how they drive in, and what fuel maps they're using, and all this kind of stuff. So it is a bit of a guessing game for us. But at the moment, what we can say is that Davis is falling backwards and is under pressure now from Mooney, and on the verge of losing that 8th place and going back to 9th. So I wouldn't say he's driving defensively, but he's certainly not in attack mode, is he?
No. For whatever reason, it just seems that qualifying pace hasn't transferred through to this race. May well be that he's struggling with tyres, and the other guys around him are struggling a little bit less.
Yeah,
but,
he's got the slowest best lap of the guys in the top 10, and he's got the slowest last lap of the guys in the top 10. So
that was very close.
But he's going to run wide there. That's going to give Mooney a run. Yeah, Mooney's going to have a run up into the right-hander, and I think he'll just be late enough on the brakes to make that work. And through he goes, door to door. But great racing from the two of them. And Mooney gets his way up into 8th. But yeah, he kind of forced that with the pressure, I guess, didn't he?
Yeah. Alan didn't really fall for that thing that we mentioned before of defending fresh air, but it just seemed that Michael kind of positioned his car in the right place, and yeah, job done.
Yeah.
All settled. I'm just looking at that gap at the top, Mike. I think I'm just seeing Alex Kingston sort of flirt with the half a second, 0.3 gap. So it's been like that for a few laps now, though. I just wonder if he's just following Wes, just not trying to make a move, but just sitting tight, and seems more than content to remain in P2.
Yeah, I think it's just, like I said, they're all playing the tyres game now, aren't they? Just trying to preserve and look after their tyres. So it's interesting. Like I said, until I think it's the last 15 minutes of this race where it's all going to come alive, and we're going to see who's looked after their tyres and who's got pace left in the car to challenge for the victory. So it's going to be a slow burn, this one, folks. A slow burn, but stick with us, and I'm sure it will be exciting at the end of the race. And,
keep a note of who stopped last.
yeah, exactly. These are the things we need to look at. And I mean, thankfully, there hasn't, apart from a couple towards the back, none of the top guys have had any bumps or scrapes, so we shouldn't see any slow pit stops in terms of repairing damage and such, which can sometimes spoil the battle a little bit for us. So fingers crossed it stays nice and clean, and we can just see how we go. Interestingly, it's been another 5 minutes since we talked last, and Ingles only taken half a second out of Morris. And more than anything, what I want to do right now is give Graham Morris some real credit, because Graham Morris, here he is in his blue McLaren. You can see within touching distance of Kevin DeHaan and Foster, who are both excellent fast drivers in their respective cars. And Morris is not only keeping touch with them, but he's keeping behind Dominic Ingle. So regardless of who's preserving tyres and who's not and whatever. Morris doing an absolutely phenomenal job tonight.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the consistency there in his last 3 laps, all within sort of 2.5 tenths of each other. That's impressive. That it's no mean feat, you know, to lap that consistent with on a track where tyre wear is really high. That's he's doing a phenomenal job, and of course a former race winner as well. We you know, this is the type of things you expect from race winners. Oh, there's been a swap for the lead, Mike. I was watching it in the speech. It's happened.
It has happened, so we'll just take a look at the replay and see how that built up. So you can see Kingston put in real pressure on Bakehouse now, down into the first corner. I don't think this is where the move is coming. No, he went and then he didn't, and then he went again. But he kind of forced a bit of an error there from Wes, which got him a little bit wide, a little bit twitchy. And that just forced Wes wide through that long right-hander, which is a painful corner to do lap after lap. And that was enough to give him the lead. So again, it's another case of forcing an error from the driver in front, just for relentless pressure.
Ooh. Lloyd passed Dan as well. But yeah, very noteworthy of you there, Mike. Yeah, I mean, got twitchy out of turn 1. Could be a carbon copy that we're about to see, or it's already happened. Never mind.
I think it has already happened, unfortunately, so we have missed it. But
it's so easy to do that though, out of turn 2. Just lose the rear and light it up, and that's it. If you're within 2 tenths of the guy in front of you, you're looking at a move into turn 4 before you know it.
Yeah, I just noticed in the background there, Kevin DeHaan got really wide. And knocked over every directional bollard foam arrow thing that you see on the side of the track right up into the air, so that was quite entertaining. But yeah, Bakehouse not dropped off, so I mean it clearly does still have the pace. It was just that the pressure just got to him for that moment and forced an error, because he's stuck right with Kingston at the moment, and no sign of that changing.
Interesting seeing Alex take or use a lot more, and this has been a characteristic actually of Alex. He can quite easily run onto the curbs in the AstroTurf and use all of the track to gain time, and I think that's something he does really well. I think it's something that Dom does well as well.
That's definitely a characteristic of the car.
Yes.
Yeah, the front engine cars can do that. That's what I was about
to touch on.
Oh, well, I'll let you carry on
then. No, it's fine. Yeah, Mike said it perfectly. There you go. There's all the boards in Narnia there. But yeah, that Aston Martin's just the ability to not track extend, but use all of the track that's available really, really helps it in finding time. If we stick with these 2 guys down into turn 1, you'll be able to see it really well. Alex drifts over, it'll be to our right but his left, and it opens up that entire 1, 2, 3 sequence where you'll see Wes actually ends up in a really tight and compromised line purely because of the characteristics of the car.
Yeah, indeed, and I just thought, why not jump on board for this and we can see exactly what the car in front does. And
not a bad shout. Oh, Wes joins him. I tell you what, that's a lap of learning what Alex is doing, because he's just took an identical line, but you can see there he's so much more tighter into 3, and you can see how that just compromises him, and Alex is able to extend that gap a little bit.
Yeah, it's
staying on the curb again. It just makes your turning so much better. You get a much nicer radius of the corner. And if you've got the ability to do that with your car, especially at a track like Barcelona where it's a lot of that medium radius corners, you will walk away from any car that isn't able to do that.
Yeah, it all comes down to just having that seat time, doesn't it? That ability to practice a couple of days a week and get those finer margins, those finer points down, knowing where you can push the track limits, where you're not going to be, pinged by the race director, knowing you know, the cambers of the corner where you can really lean on the car. It's all these little things that just all come from practice. We can all be quick over one lap, but to do it lap after lap after lap, like you alluded to, consistency earlier, you know, it's the great drivers that can basically do the same lap time 10 laps in a row, isn't it? As opposed to doing one fast one and 3 scrappy ones.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I think Alan has managed to get back past Matt Heaton, unless Matt Heaton was never past him in the first place. I'm not too sure.
I'm not. Hang on, Matt Heaton was fighting with.
I saw the green
he?
and red, and I panicked. I thought, oh, maybe there's been a move. Not too sure.
Yeah,
though.
possibly. Let's just have a quick look and see. No, I think sometimes it thinks that a move has happened when it hasn't.
Oh, actually, there will have been Mike because he's behind Alan. Oh no, it was Alan still in front, isn't he? So
There it was.
I
He just.
I think that's
that was
what's
it.
happened.
That was it there.
Yeah.
He just
That's
dived.
technically the move, isn't it?
Yeah, he dived, tried to make the move stick, and it just wasn't to be. But these things happen, and it's good to see that he's having a good old go at it anyway.
Did notice that Dan sort of fell back down through the order a little bit more as well. He's down at P13 now.
Yeah, his last lap was a 1:48, so he's made a big mistake somewhere and gone off. So that is a shame. But Heaton still battling with Davis. Bakehouse still battling with Kingston. Interestingly, Foster less than, or pretty much dead on 4 seconds behind these guys now. So he's taken over half a second out of these guys battling for the lead. So Foster coming back towards them now. Ingles started to eat away at that time to Morris as well. That is down to just over 5 seconds now, so he is slowly eating away at it. But again, I've got an inkling, as we said earlier, that he's going more for consistency and trying to go long and pit a lot later than his rivals ahead. So he does have an innate ability to look after the tyres.
I think Graham might have made a little mistake as well, because his gap to Kevin was about 5.5 and Dom's was 6.5, because I was going to mention it just before you started speaking.
He has,
and then the gap suddenly shot down. So
yeah, his last lap was a 1:47.2, which is over a second slower than the guys around him. So yeah, you are 100% correct, my friend. And, it could.
Oh, it's very tight again at the lead.
It is, and Wes just sort of dropped off in the last lap, but it looks like he was just perhaps letting his tyres cool off, catching his breath, and then having another go at it. But
Matt Heaton as well, back on the bum of Alan Davies.
Yeah, we've seen many times this season, and they're side by side going into turn one, and Davis again, the defender.
But all the time, inviting Lloyd Reed back into the conversation. He's flirting with the top 10, which, you know, after that little error earlier on, it just makes you wonder, what if, you know, that could have been a top 8, top 7 position now for Lloyd.
You know, he's only 10 seconds off 8th, so, you know, still a lot to play for. And only 15 seconds off 7th, so, you know, still a long way to go. So he could... Oh, there's contact! Oh, they've made contact. And that was... Let's just have a quick look back at that one. So here we are on board, well, not on board, but watching Heaton from the helicam. And I think it was,
just wonder if that was a little bit over-ambitious.
Just into the left-hander. It's not quite a hairpin, but a sort of a long left-hander, and I just don't think... I don't think that was quite on, was it? And
no. That's a bit. I think that's frustration. Maybe he's been stuck behind Alan for a couple of laps.
Yeah, I think he saw a gap. He went for it. He did a Senna, but I think it was Davis was always going to try and take the racing line into there. He wasn't alongside for long enough, really. It was a bit of a day late and a dollar short, as Mr. Martin Brundle would say. And
yeah,
unfortunately, he has caused an accident.
Is that our first pitter as well in Michael Mooney?
I believe it is. That is a little bit early, but yeah, he is the first person into the pits. So not even at halfway.
be interesting to see how the undercut works, because I think we're both in the same consensus that the overcut is probably the way to go. But I'm still keen to see how the undercut works, just purely to see if it was actually beneficial or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, after all that talk, Lloyd Reed does find himself now in 8th position because of people having accidents and Michael Mooney pitting. So he's already found himself in 8th. So yeah, 10 seconds behind Humphries now. Still over half the race distance to go. So Reed could still get a decent haul of points here. But at the moment...
What's the opposite of the commentator's curse?
The
commentator's blessing.
Yeah, I was trying to think of another C word that would go with it, but not that C word. Any other C word. Yeah, I can't think of one because I'm not clever enough. Foster into the pits. So Foster, the first of the front runners into the pits. So again, he's gone early. He's had enough.
I suppose we are just shy of the halfway point, aren't we?
We are just shy of it, yeah. But I thought people would again try to go a bit further and get that option for the fresher tyres at the end of the race. But anyway, yeah.
I think we'll see these two go longer.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's neither of them are going to want to pull the trigger first, are they?
No, and yeah, definitely seems to be a favoured pit phase. Lloyd Reed now in the pits as well, so I wonder if the guys have just found in practice that maybe a slightly earlier pit stop works. I mean, this is probably one thing we don't know. We're just pulling straws out of a hat at this rate, but clearly could be the way to go. That's what three cars now have pitted quite early.
Yeah, so that was 60. Yeah, it's looking like a 64 second stop from the ones that I've seen so far. So yeah, so we've had 4 cars have pit stopped so far. If you class Reed, who is still in the pits as it stands. So who's going to jump first of the top guys other than Foster? But he was 4 seconds behind this battle at the time of the pit. So the big question is, how far behind is he going to be?
If you are Wes, Mike, do you box opposite to Alex? Say it comes down to your pit window and Alex hasn't pitted. Do you pit or do you stay out and follow him?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I think you've Kevin DeHaan now in the pits as well, just to mention. I think if you've got a plan, you've got to stick to it, because if you change your plan, that is when things go wrong, or it'll be a case of what could have been. Unless you've got a really good reason to pit earlier. For example, I don't know, if Kingston hit a wall but kept the lead and he had damage, so his pit stop was going to be 5 seconds longer than yours. Maybe, but other than that, I think if you've got a plan, you just stick to it. So it just depends what plan he laid himself out before he started. But I would imagine, I'd be surprised if sort of 80% of these drivers weren't looking to just do it as close to 50-50 as possible, especially if the tyre wear is as bad as these guys are saying it is. So yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Cool. I always like your insight. You know a little bit more than me, so I like teeing you up there. It was like a perfect golf shot. I put the ball on the tee. You smack the driver. You've just nailed it 300 yards. Thank you very much. Me here all week.
He's here all week. Marvellous. Love it.
We try and have a laugh, don't we?
We do. So I'm just doing some maths a minute. I'm trying to work out Foster's gap to the lead.
Wes in first. Wes in first out of the lead. Sorry,
Foster's,
Mike.
No, that's fine. I'm just working out Foster's gap to the lead. So he's, hang on. So 15, 19, 23, 34, 49, 55. Yeah, he's about 70 seconds off. So I think unless it's a bad pit stop from Wes, I think Foster is still going to come out behind. But that is what is going to be interesting. So let's jump on with Foster and see where he comes out then in respect to Bakehouse. So you can see Foster just making his way down to the second hairpin.
Aye, I think the gap before Wes pitted was about 4 seconds, wasn't it? We touched on it earlier, so it'll be interesting to see what that gap is now as Adam approaches the final sector. So keep an eye out, folks. I think it'll be close, but I don't think it'll be close enough for a position swap.
No, so where's his pit
I
stop
don't-
is just about to end, and he's just about to start moving. There he goes. He's right at the end of
He's
the pit
right
lane.
at the end of his pit spot. Yeah.
Yeah, so Foster is going to
Well, I
be
tell you
right
what, it could
behind
be
him.
close.
Yeah, it's not close, but I reckon it's probably less time than it was, and it is. The gap is. I'm just waiting for it to settle. It's under 2 seconds, or just over 2 seconds. So
That's fantastic.
it is.
Fantastic news. As yeah, Foster. I tell you what, that gap's gone orange now. So under the 2 second margin, perfectly worked out there.
Yeah, it is, and
all-
of course he's got to. Wes has got to get his tyres up to temperature and up to pressure, isn't he?
Yeah,
So,
that was going to be the other thing. So this is, if you're Adam Foster, this is the time to capitalise. So obviously Kingston's in the pits now. It seems to be then that the undercut was the better way to go. So
But
is Kingston going to be under threat?
possibly, but is that going to play into the hands of the later pitters later in the race? That is the big question, isn't it? That's the part we don't know.
Correct, mate. And I think that's what's going to keep us on the edge of our seats. And like you said earlier, that last quarter of an hour, we're going to know what was the right way to go. I think I'd rather be an attacker than the defender, especially on a fresher set of tyres. So it could be a win in the battle, but a loss in the war, if you know what I mean. It could be a quick win now, but you pay for it later on in that last 15 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kingston's pit stop just finishing. Beerhouse coming down the start-finish straight. Kingston is just exiting the pits. Oh, it's so close into turn one. Beerhouse at full speed, and Kingston not at full speed. But clearly, on that evidence, the undercut was the way to go, and you were right. But he overtakes him into turn one. Kingston just could not get going out of the pits, and Beerhouse takes the provisional lead. It's currently with Dan Stevens, who leads a race for the first time this season, even if it is because he hasn't had a pit stop yet. But yeah, de facto lead, if you like, to Beerhouse.
It's certainly brought them all closer together, though. I mean, that top three now, the gap was, like we said earlier, up to 4 seconds, and now they're all sort of in the same frame. So, role reversal. Alex Kingston, you've got to do it again, son. Get back past Wes.
Yeah, interestingly, Ingle jumped Morris in that range of pit stops as well. So, just watching the replay of Ingle. So yeah, I mean he was what, 5 seconds behind him, wasn't he? Before.
Yeah.
But before the pit stops, or there or thereabouts. So I mean he's made up loads of time. Ingle has with fresh tyres. But yeah, I'm just wondering where Morris is, unless Morris has made them. Oh no, there's Morris coming out of the pits, and it's pretty much a carbon copy of the other one. And that Ingle was just at full speed. Morris coming out of the pits, obviously nowhere near full speed, and that was all she wrote. So Ingle up to 6th now, and what is he? 25 seconds off the lead. So. Still a lot of work to do if he wants to challenge those leaders, but if anybody can do it, Ingle's the man. But I suspect with the ballast he's carrying this week that he's not finding it quite as easy as he has in previous weeks.
Yeah, I think if it was at the 45-minute mark or the 50-minute mark, you might say, oh, okay, it could be on, but 34 minutes to go, it might just be too tall of a mountain to climb. And we know that Kevin DeHaan's no slouch as well. I mean, we saw his pace in qualifying, and we saw it early on. It won't be an easy overtake, will it?
No, but mind you, we did say that last week and a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? About perhaps Ingle not having enough, and then he still managed to do it because he just can manage to turn it on and just has the pace when he needs it. So I guess don't write him off yet, but yeah, it does look less and less likely as it stands that is going to happen.
Yes, I wonder how long Dan Stevens going to go for, and I wonder if that explains why he was a little bit off with his pace. I'm just purely going heavier on the fuel, or maybe he's gone a bit of the opposite of what I was saying there, and just thinking, well, I've got nothing to lose. I've not got that much pace. I may as well just extend the stint as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean, his last lap was a 47.4, and that was his best so far, which is a good second away from what his rivals are doing, even sort of towards the middle and towards the back. So it looks like he's just struggling to hook it up. I know Dan's struggling for practice time this season due to a change of circumstances. He doesn't get the practice time that he's had in previous seasons, which is why we've seen him struggle. But yeah, I agree with you. I think he's probably just thinking, why not? You know, if I can still put in my personal bests, why not extend it, try it, and then he's going to have super fresh tyres for the last stint compared to his rivals around him, where he might suddenly find himself gaining a couple of positions. So yeah, why not try it?
Yep, couldn't agree with you more. We could see Lloyd. I think Lloyd Reid. I don't know what's happened actually, but he was up to sort of P8, wasn't he? And now he's back down in P11.
Yeah, he had a 75-second pit stop because he had damage, so he would have lost.
Right.
He had a big accident, if you remember, with Weavers.
He did.
Yeah, so that probably would have cost him that 10 seconds in the pit box extra. So, or 12 seconds, sorry. So yeah, that would have lost him another 3 or 4 positions. But yeah, interestingly, Humphries was 8th before and after the pit stop, so it's good to see he's held on to his position in the Lexus. But we'll just stick with this battle for the moment. Foster's dropped right off the back of Kingston and Bierkhaus. He has not got the ability to really stick with those guys at the moment, so it looks like he's resigned to holding on to third.
I think he'll be happy with that. You know, that McLaren just hasn't quite clicked this season. I think Alex Kingston's almost probably nailed on now, isn't he? Really, for the championship. I mean, you can never say never, but that Aston Martin and him behind the wheel of it just looks like a really good combo, especially Dom as well. I mean, Dom's got a big mountain to climb in terms of points, but if I was Adam now, I wouldn't write the season off, but I'd kind of just go for top 3 finishes and just keep it on the podium as much as I can, which we know he does because he did last season in the Porsche, and it served him really well. So I think, yeah, I think it's just been a characteristic of this season, hasn't it? Adam hasn't quite had that blistering sort of run away with the lead pace. He's kind of just languished in second and third for a bit of it.
Yeah, it's certainly true, and he's he does. It's difficult to say, isn't it? Whether I suppose you know. I guess I'm trying to find a way to articulate this, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that what you're saying is true, but what we've also got to remember is we've got a reinvigorated Dominic Engel, who clearly suits the car.
Yeah.
We've got Alex Kingston, you know, as you said, but who's new to the league, so obviously we didn't really have a basis of comparison for last season. But also we've got to remember the ballast has come in this season as well, where we haven't had that in previous seasons, and that impacts on performance as well. So I think if you take all of those things into account, then yeah, I guess what my question is, would we be in this position, what you were just describing with Foster, if all of those factors weren't in place? You know, if Kingston and Engel had chosen a different car that wasn't quite as strong, or if ballast wasn't in place. You know, I'm not saying it would be any different or wouldn't be. I guess it's just I'm just putting it out there as an option.
No. I completely agree. It's been, I think what you were looking for was it's been the perfect storm, hasn't it, against Adam, in the fact that the Aston Martin's been the car to beat in this season. Dom's just looked invincible. Alex Kingston, we saw glimpses of it in the Ferrari last season when he joined. Right guy, right car. and it's kind of just been the fact that the McLaren's been nerfed as well. It's like everything that could have possibly gone against Adam has. So I think it's actually a big credit for him to still be up there, because look at how fast Ash Humphreys was in that sort of first season, second season of doing this in the McLaren, and then you compare that to last season, to this season, sorry. Yes, he's not had as much practice, but we know that Ash isn't a 6th, 7th place guy, and I think this more. I suppose we're more giving credit to Adam for being where he is, given the circumstances, not necessarily saying it's been a bit of an off season for him. So yeah, totally agree with your sentiments. And yeah, perfect storm working against Adam, sadly. But nice to see a new name at the top, and a bit refreshing. I suppose next season with updates and in the game as happens, it could be that we see a tighter battle at the front and Adam back on top. I'm sure he'll be more than motivated if he doesn't win this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he wanted the challenge. He certainly had it. I mean, the only disappointing thing is with Ingle having had to miss races, and Wes with his having COVID and being ill, not being at his best for a few races, and a few other sort of factors, could well have been a 4-way battle, which would have made it even more difficult, because obviously they all would have been taking points off each other. So again, that's not really been in Foster's favour, because it's just been a straight fight with Kingston, whereas if there was 4 of them in there all taking points off each other at various different times, it could have been even more exciting than what it has been. But it's still not over, still another 2 rounds left even after this one, so still plenty of opportunity for these guys to pick up lots of points and change the outcome of this season. But you are right in what you're saying, is in that it's Kingston's to lose at this point.
Yeah, and just going back to what you were saying about how it's just them two sort of making the battle hard, how that makes the battle harder, the fact that there's not more people involved, I think as a perfect example. I know we talk about it a fair bit, but our touring car league this season, I'm towards the top. We've got a couple of other guys, and because of ballast sort of yo-yoing us up and down the order, there's no sort of real runaway championship leaders, so it feels like the championship's wide open and anyone can win it. But obviously we do run a slightly different system of ballast, and that's not quite available in this league. But yeah, my point is more to prove that when there's more people in the mix, it makes the championship battle a bit easier, just purely because of the fact that there's you're not focusing on one car, you could be focusing on 5-6 different cars, and because they've all got something to fight for, they're all going to battle each other really hard, and it keeps you all within contention. The butterfly effect, blah blah blah. You catch my drift.
Indeed. And just while we were chatting away there, we did see Lloyd Reed make his way up past Davis and up into 9th. So he continues his recovery after those incidents in the opening few laps. But Reed now up to 9th, and as you say, he's made his way past Davis, who finds himself now down in 10th. Zuber having a good race. He's had a couple of scrappy races this season, but seemed a lot more consistent today, and finds himself battling for that top 10. So he's only a second and a half behind Davis, so still time for him to challenge for that top 10 yet. So we'll keep an eye on the gaps there. But yeah, good to see Zuber having a better race tonight. Yeah,
definitely. I think. Will the top 10 finish affect him in the Bronze League? Will that effectively promote him into the Legacy League? I don't know how many.
I'm not sure how many finishes he's had in various positions, so I couldn't comment. But yeah, could potentially have an impact. That is faux show. So what are we now?
I think that's
25 minutes to go. 24 minutes to go. Sorry. And still, these two are battling away for the lead.
I think if it was a different track, mate, nothing against Barcelona, because I do actually quite like driving it. But I think if it was a different track, we might feel a bit more poised for the battle for the lead. But because of the nature of this track, you almost feel like that this could end just like this and go lap after lap after lap after lap for the next 23 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you feel the same or not.
Yeah, I kind of do. It's unfortunate. Barcelona's such a good track to drive, and it's one of those.
Yeah.
You know, all right, not the same as Monaco, but Monaco's another one. You know, it's a qualifying track. It's great to drive. It's amazing, fun, but it just doesn't lend itself to close racing. Well, not so much close racing, but racing where overtakes are possible and probable. They tend to be few and far between at this track. It just, like you said earlier, it's all medium sort of speed corners, which none of which lend themselves to overtaking. And then when you have got slow speed stuff like this, it's so tight, as we were watching there, that you can't make a move. So really, it's only where we saw Heaton and Davis make contact earlier. That's one of the, and down into turn one, really that's it for overtakes. But it's so difficult to be close enough down to turn one to make that work that it just ends up being a bit of a frustration, that it just becomes a bit of a concession. But
no,
yeah.
You're right, mate. You're right.
Just one
Turn
of those
10
tracks.
as well. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Good point. But it is just one of those tracks, unfortunately, that it just doesn't lend itself to overtaking. But there we go.
I think it does reward driving style though, and being able to race manage and car manage. I think in terms of that side of a driver's skill, it really rewards that.
Yeah, I agree, and like I say, as a driver's track, it's epic fun. You know, it's one that I absolutely love, and I've always really enjoyed driving it. Like I say, it's just a shame there aren't a few more overtaking opportunities, and like I say, the new layout made that even worse rather than better, which was a shame.
Yeah.
which beggars belief
Never
almost.
understand
No, I never understand why they make changes. And I guess I mean, not so much in Barcelona because it's been there for donkeys, but we see this with a lot of new tracks, don't we, that come out and then they don't lend themselves to great racing. And that's one thing that Cota did so well, was it went around and it picked the best parts of, 4 or 5 race circuits from all around the world. You know, it's quite topical because we had the American Grand Prix last weekend, and developed great racing and great overtaking opportunities. I mean, why doesn't everybody just do that? You know, why do people design brand new racetracks where you can't overtake? It's just unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I totally agree, and I think another perfect example is the revised layout of Hockenheim, because that was a track where it was so difficult to overtake the old layout because everybody ran no wings. The horsepower was basically identical for most of the cars, so actually getting past someone or getting close to someone was so difficult, and if you did, it was then even more difficult to overtake, purely by the fact that as soon as you pulled out the slipstream, you were back falling behind, basically. And the new layout, as soon as you're into the hairpin at the end of the straight, it's side by side, almost to the stadium complex. That's like 60% of the lap. And if every track had that, you wouldn't care. The racing would be so much nicer. And I'm going to shut up now because every time I speak, it seems that Kingston and Beacow start battling, so I'm just going to be quiet and let you take back over, mate.
No, keep talking. Especially if it's going to lead to some battles. That's exactly what we want to see. Oh, he's just going to have a look at the inside. He saw Wes make a mistake, but Wes hangs it around the outside. And it was close, but no cigar. But
he's going to get such a better run out of the chicane, though. I don't think this is over, Mike. We're going to see a PDF move into turn 1.
Well, let's keep our eyes peeled and see what we can see. So we are with Kingston. Let's just jump on the helmet cam, see if we can see what the driver sees as he potentially makes a move down into turn 1. He does make a move. He is later on the brakes, but he's going to be wide. Oh, he just picks up the throttle. You can see Beerhouse just on the outside there. He's got a tighter line now. Beerhouse is right. He's gone up the inside.
What a move!
What a move! Like I said, that was almost played out over 5 corners. But Beerhouse, oh, looking to be later on the brakes. Is there going to be contact? It's so close. But Beerhouse forces him a little bit wide. But now Kingston will have the inside for the next left-hander. But Beerhouse, look at the hang it around the outside. He's going to try and switch back. Oh, he's so close again to contact. Such good racing between these two. And the lead changes hands once again. But again, there's still 18 minutes left. I don't think this battle's quite over yet. Still plenty of time for these two to battle away. But
we're starting to get towards that last 15-minute mark as well, Mike. We could see the later runners start to benefit.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is Kingston of these top 3 was the last to pit, wasn't he? So his tyres, in theory, should be in the best condition. But he's got the most ballast, so it's probably evened out quite well. Because he's got a lot more ballast than Wes. So, yeah.
I did think in the slipstream he wasn't quite gaining as much as I thought he would, and then I realised, ballast will be holding him back.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't know how much wing he's running. If he's not running a lot of wing, then the slipstream's going to have a lot less of an impact on him, isn't it? But
he's already weaving.
He's already trying to break the toe. He's already trying to break the toe. We love it.
I think that tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think he knows that Lamborghini's faster than him in a straight line. So.
Oh, I'm really excited now. This is going to be a good last 15 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we want to see. So Beerhouse will probably be kicking himself. He just allowed himself to get into that position where he allowed him alongside. It compromised his exit, and Kingston got past. So now he has to try and battle him back and retake that position for the lead. And
should we do a little race rundown? Go through the order.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. So you are watching Alex Kingston, who's currently leading this final drive sim racing endurance race here at Barcelona, and on lap 35 in this 80-minute race. He is still, he is leading again, and it's been a race-long battle between these two for victory, and still plenty of action to come. Beerhouse still battling away in second. Foster 5 seconds back now in third position. The number 1 current defending double champion finds himself in third. Kevin DeHaan is in fourth, driving a superb race, and he's been away for a few weeks, I think, and back with us this week and driving really well. Dominic Ingle in fifth, started at the back, so he's made 11 positions after a qualifying ban due to an accident that he had last week. Graham Morris in sixth, absolutely superb from Graham. He's had a brilliant race, and this is a really good finish for him. He's had a couple of stinkers this season, but yeah, sixth position, I think, sort of best of the rest, if you like. A really good finish for Morris. Humphreys in seventh. Yeah, again, he's managed to have one of those nice clean races. No silly stuff. So he must be really pleased with that, and a really good seventh position from him. He's had some good battles as well, we've seen throughout this. So looks like it's been good fun. Matt Heaton is in eighth in the Lamborghini. I think he started 12th or 13th, so he's made a few positions as well. I can have a look at that, actually. No. According to this, he's lost 2 positions, but I'm not... Did he qualify in 6th, did he?
I can't, I'll be honest, I can't really remember.
Yeah, he did. He qualified
I think he might
in
have
6th.
been quite high up.
He did qualify in 6th, apologies. So, yeah, I think Ingles made up the most positions, obviously with 11, but everyone else is pretty much where they were, apart from Humphreys has made up 2 positions, and Kingston obviously taking the lead. Zuber and Dan Stevens up 1 position each, so yeah, not a huge change. Anyway, back to the action. And Lloyd Reed in 9th, he's battled his way back from pretty much last after quite a big accident in the opening few laps. Alan Davis, he's currently in 10th. He was running in 6th at one point, but he's just dropped back and back and back as the race has gone on. But he is still there in 10th position in the sole Honda NSX this season. This race, sorry, not this season, as we are missing Mr. Richard Arnold. Yeah, what have I missed?
Look who's pitted.
What?
Look who's pitted. P3.
Oh, Foster. Right. He's had to pit for another set of tyres, is he?
I don't know what's happened. He might have underfueled.
Possibly. Or he just can't take it anymore on those tyres, maybe. I don't know, but all that's going to hugely impact his championship. But yeah. It's a drive-through.
Is he not stopped in his box?
It's a drive-through. It's got to be it's a drive-through penalty. He's hit track limits 3 times. Unfortunately, the software didn't tell us that was coming. It's a drive-through penalty for Adam Foster, who comes out 6 seconds behind Graham Morris in front. It's a drive-through penalty for pinging track limits on 3 occasions and gaining each time that he's done it. So he comes out now in 6th position. He may well get up to...
Who's in 4th place?
Yeah, Engel is there, so he may well get up to the back of Morris and gain that 1 position back, but that is a podium gone, and Kevin DeHaan finds himself now in 3rd. Engel in 4th, as my colleague was leading to, and Morris an even better 5th. So great stuff. But yeah, Foster, it's not the first time we've seen Foster with drive-throughs for pinging track limits. It has happened a few times, but that shows the challenge of this circuit for these guys today.
He'll be gutted. He'll be absolutely gutted. And one man who'll be licking his lips will be Dom Ingle. Someone who we've very classically wrote off for, I think, a 3rd week in a row, and he's ended up in the top 4, only 2 seconds off 3rd. So
yeah, he might well get that podium yet, and you know,
yep,
a bit of jeopardy in front. You never know. Those guys have been racing so close. A little bit of an accident or something could well change this race yet. So still 12 minutes to go. So it's still a long time for things to happen. What's that? 6 laps. You know, a lot can happen in 6 laps. So yeah, just to finish our rundown, Zuber finds himself in 11th. He seems to have driven quite well today and kept pace with those midfield guys. Dan Stevens in 12th was running quite well at one point, but he's had a few incidents, but he's got himself in 12th. Paul Prescott in 13th. Weavers in 14th. And Mooney is back in the pits as well. It looks... Oh, he's had a drive-through and a pit stop as well. So Mooney finds himself down in plumb last, which is a shame. So it looks like this is going to be the status quo for these guys. So we'll just pop with Dom Ingle and see if he can catch up to the back of Kevin DeHaan. And make
I think he might, Mike. I think he might. He seems to have pulled half a second there, either on that last lap or last 2 laps. So
yeah, I mean his best lap
yeah.
is 4 tenths quicker, and his last lap was 2 tenths quicker. So he's definitely quicker than the guy in front, but not by a huge amount. So it's not going to be an easy pass. It's not like he's got a second or a second and a half in hand to make an easy overtake. So he's going to have to work for this one.
No, and like we were saying, you know, the main sort of overtake areas are at the end of the straight. So one thing that's going to hamper him is that ballast. It's not really going to slingshot him in the slipstream, is it? So he's going to have to do it all in the corners, and we know how hard that can be.
Yeah, and equal machinery as well. He, you know, other than his own personalised setup, he is against another Aston Martin in this particular battle. So yeah, it's certainly going to be a challenge. So what is that gap now? So yeah, he's down to 1.3 seconds now. So he's making progress, but the gap out in front between the leader and second is up to... Sorry, excuse me, up to 1.5 as well. So it looks like Wes just losing that bit of an edge now.
Kevin De Haan's ran wide.
He has, and that has cost him about half a second there. So that'll give Ingle a bit of an adrenaline boost and pick him up now, and he's now within the shot of doing that. Oh, De Haan runs wide again, a bit of a corner cut there. You don't want to do that too many times, but Ingle with a bit between his teeth now. Could we see a move down here into the hairpin?
I think we will, unless the yep, he pulls out. Classic move. That's it. Block the apex off. Nicely done. Dominic Ingle up into 3rd place after a qualifying ban as well. You can only wonder where that man would have finished if he qualified.
Yeah, I think we can answer that quite simply. He definitely would have been battling the guys out in front. I mean, based on starting at the back, having the battle through, losing lap time, lap after lap, and he's 20 seconds off the lead. So, I think it's safe to say he would have been comfortably battling for the lead. I'm not saying he would have won the race, but he certainly would have been battling with those two at the front, undoubtedly. But yeah, Foster has actually dropped back even further from Morris since that drive-through penalty. So it looks like Foster's tyres are deader than a dead thing, and 6 is about as good as it's going to get for him.
Do you reckon that's a bit of fear as well after the drive-through? Don't want to ping any more track limits, take it easy.
It
really
could be, but I mean,
thing.
he's got another 3 in hand now, really, before he would get another drive-through. So I mean, if anything, I would probably be more aggressive. But you could well be right. Perhaps he is taking it easy, not wanting to take that risk. But I probably would have taken for granted. Oh, bugger it, I can do it at least another 2 times before I have to worry. But there we go. That's me. I'm an idiotic guy who spends more time in the comms box. So what do I know?
Tell you what, I know you mentioned it earlier as well, but shout out to Zuber, keeping it close to Alan Davies as well. That gap's been about 2.5, 2.4 for the last few laps now. So lapping really consistently, and that we were on about it earlier. Just being able to bang those laps in consistently and keep yourself in the mix is just as important as having sheer 1 lap pace. Because there's no point having that pace if you're yo-yoing in your lap times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 6 minutes remaining. Who's your contender for driver of the race, Mike?
Oh, there's a good question. Look, Ingle is outstanding, and it's not to take anything away from his achievement, but we've kind of given it to him for his drive through the fields a few times this season. So, not to be a broken record, yeah, absolutely. Appreciate Ingle's talent and what he's achieving, but just to sort of think a little bit outside the box, I'm torn a little bit between Kevin De Haan and Graham Morris, both out of position. Not wanting to be harsh to either of them, but De Haan hasn't been fully present this season, and he has at times had some rough races. But I'm more inclined to go towards Morris. Morris only 4 seconds behind De Haan in an inferior car, and up against some really talented drivers. I think Graham Morris for me is my driver of the race.
They say great minds think alike. If you'd have said De Haan, I'd have probably still said Morris, purely for that reason of just, everything's clicked for him this race. He qualified well, he's had good race pace, he stuck with the guys early on, but obviously as the race has gone on, he's dropped off a little bit. But yeah, Kevin De Haan, I mean, we saw it a couple of times now. He's made a few mistakes. Graham might have, but we might have missed it because we've not been covering him so much. So yeah, I think even with 4 minutes and counting, well, it's more like the upper echelons of 4 minutes, isn't it? I think yeah, Graham Morris, driver of the race, fully deserved. And like you say, Dominic Ingle coming through the pack's just the norm now. So if he doesn't do it, what are you playing at, Dom? We can't give you driver of the race every week. So yeah, Graham Morris, mate. I agree with that.
Yeah,
1000%.
he's been superb. And you know, just looking at his lap times, his last lap time was a 45.4. To put that into context, that was quicker than Alex Kingston out in front. And his best lap is only 0.2 slower than Alex Kingston's best lap of this second stint since the pit stops. So to put that into context, that shows you how well Graham is driving today. To the point where he's just taken another 1.3 seconds out of Kevin De Haan. So with 3 laps to go, De Haan's tyres clearly have given up quicker. De Haan's last lap was a 51, so he's had an off or a mistake somewhere. So we were talking about his inconsistencies. We could well see Morris up onto the back of that Aston Martin before this race is over. So we will see. We've got nothing else to watch, no other battles on track. So keeping an eye on Zuber, because his gap to Davis is coming down. And if he gets top 10, he would have been a very close shout for driver of the race as well. But
Definitely.
We have spoken, and as it has been said, so it shall be done. But yeah, that gap coming down and down and down. Kevin De Haan's tyres are absolutely gone, I would say, because that gap is coming down further and further. It's under 2 seconds now. So where's Kingston?
Oh, Foster with the yellow flag.
Yeah, he's just gone off. So Kingston's through there, so there's going to be probably 2 more laps after this one that Kingston is already on as these guys cross the line. So 3 laps to go for these guys, so still plenty of time. And Morris now under a second. De Haan's tyres must be absolutely shot, because or he's underfueled and he's having to say fuel one or the other. It's difficult to tell, but I would suspect his tyres from the way he's driving. It looks really scrappy, doesn't it, Aaron? It's a bit all over the place.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth again. I think if it was fuel, we'd have noticeably saw that down the straights. It just looks like he's really struggling for grip at this point. Yeah, I think this is a slap bang classic case of when, not if.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, Foster 10 seconds off the back of this gap. Now he's 3 seconds when he came out from that drive-through, so he's lost 7 seconds to the back of Morris in that time. So Morris absolutely on it. Foster did have that little off on the last lap as well, of course. But yeah, we are watching Graham Morris in the lead McLaren today, battle away now for 4th position, which would be we'd already given him driver of the race when he was 6 seconds behind this guy a couple of minutes ago, and now he's battling him for 4th position, which would be a superb finish.
On the final lap, give it all you can.
So I got my timing
like
slightly
you
wrong.
said,
That we are now on the final lap of the race for the leaders up in front. Sorry, go on, my friend.
I was just going to say, like you said as well, lead McLaren. I mean, it's been Adam the entire season, hasn't it? So that's definitely some achievement today.
It is, and something I hope he'll be proud of. He's driven superbly well. So has he got the pace to get past De Haan? De Haan seems to have just settled back down a bit. These laps were both a 47 flat, so both slow, to be fair, but I think Morris is much quicker than that, but he's just struggling to find a place to make a move. De Haan really wide there. He's going to have a really slow run out there. Morris just getting to the outside, but he just has to back out of it to stop the car running too wide. This long left-hander, he just goes outside there. De Haan battling away. Morris with the switchback over to the inside. He's later on the brakes. Is it going to be too late on the brakes? He just keeps it on the circuit. But De Haan now back ahead, but Morris has got the inside for the left-hander. I think Morris should now make that stick. De Haan with dead tyres should not be able to fight this back. And wow, that was a cracking little battle there.
Yeah, exactly what we thought might happen, and to do it on the last lap as well, it just makes it all the more sweeter, and on the flip side, all the more bitter for De Haan. But go on, Mike, I'll let you take it away for Kingston crossing the line. Yeah,
the clock has run down. We are on the last lap, and we are on the last few meters as Alex Kingston comes home for another victory. He's had a superb season. Wes Beerghouse battled him all the way from start to finish. A superb drive from Wes, and he should be really proud of that second position. Cracking stuff. Dominic Ingle is about to come home in 3rd, started in 16th position. and comes home on the podium, and I hope he's really proud of that drive as well. And this man, our driver of the race, Graham Morris, 4th position, absolutely outstanding drive from the McLaren man in the 111 car. Kevin DeHaan comes home in 5th. Great drive from Kevin when he just had no tyres left at the end. Foster comes home in 6th. A drive-through penalty costing him a chance at the podium. But even though his tyres were completely gone at the end, so he may well have struggled even to get on the podium. Without that, we don't know. We'll never know. The drive-through definitely cost him at least a few positions. So Damien Humphries is going to come home in 7th place, and absolutely superb drive from Humphries. A nice clean race from him. Matt Heaton in the top 10, 8th position, battling away with a few drivers today, but he comes home in 9th. Lloyd Reed in 8th. Lloyd Reed in 9th after his accident early on. He's battled his way back through the field. Alan Davis holds on to 10th. Zuba coming home in 11th. Great drive from him. Dan Stevens in 12th. Prescott in 13th. Weavers 14th. And Michael Mooney in 15th. So that is that. But your winner, as we say, was Alex Kingston. So that is all she wrote. And yeah, what a race. A bit breathless after that. Those last couple those last couple of laps gave us plenty of entertainment, didn't they? That was great fun. And yeah, any particular moments that stick out for you there, Aaron?
I think either Alex's move on Wes or Graham's move on Kevin, really. I wonder if can we remember what lap Graham pitted compared to everybody else?
Oh no, I can't remember that. I've slept since then.
I can't. We'll ask. We'll ask. But I wonder if he just maybe stayed out a couple of laps later than Kevin. You know.
Yeah.
Just that last 15 minutes seemed to really make a difference, didn't it?
It did, yeah, and this, it was just evident, how much Kevin's tyres were just completely gone there at the end. So, yeah, that was clear for all to see. So, yeah, we are joined as always by a few drivers. Sorry, I'm just rearranging my screen so you can see everyone. Do we put your cameras on if you've got them, guys? Don't be shy. We don't mind seeing your ugly mugs. And anyway, yes, we've got some drivers. So, Aaron, I'll let you take away the first question.
Cool. I'll go straight to Adam. Bitterly sore for you, mate. It didn't pick up on our screens, but we took it that you had a drive-through. Yeah, you've got to be gutted with that, mate. It looked like you were nailed on for P3.
Yeah. Like I said in the warm-up lap, the tyres just die. And then I got 2 warnings in one corner somehow. Don't know how, but I did. And then I got the 3rd one, obviously, before halfway. And then I have a couple of laps cooling the tyres down. And then I pushed, and that was it. Just overstepped again. Got the drive-through. Not a great race for me today.
No, I mean it looked a little bit like in the first stint the car was struggling with a lot of understeer. And we just wondered if maybe he tweaked the setup to try and make the tyres last longer or something daft like that. It just didn't look like your night tonight.
No, I had a couple of sloppy laps to start with, and then I had Kevin chasing me for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or so. And I think that killed my tyres as well. So, yeah, just a bit of a bad one today.
Ah, man, hard luck.
We have them. We all have them.
Yeah, very true, mate. Very, very true. Right, Mike, I'll pass the baton back to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to come to Graham Morris, if that's all right. And Mr. Morris, I mean, that was a superb race. 10 minutes before the end, or near enough to that, we gave you driver of the race because we thought you'd just driven absolutely superbly, and then you went and took 4th and took Kevin DeHaan towards the end. So yeah, just take us through it. It looked like you had some good fun out there today.
Yeah, that's easily my best race, and it's good to see that the hard work's paying off. That I'm now I can get in the frame rate of these guys at the front, Dom, Adam, and even racing Kevin at the end. Yeah, there's been a few races where I can sort of get there in practice, and then a race comes and I'm not nowhere near. But today was much better. Yeah, and I was holding Dom on that first stint, and then obviously had a really bad pit stop, and I sort of like dropped my pace a little bit for about 20 minutes or something. And I wish I hadn't, because it made it a bit sweaty at the end. When Kevin must have got damaged, I presume, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like
yeah.
his tyres had just completely gone, but whether he did have damage, I'm not sure. But he just had no drivability at all. So
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it was just good. Let's have some more races with these guys at the front. Keep working and keep improving.
yeah, please do. It looked really good, and it was really, really good to see you up there battling towards the front, sort of best of the rest, if you like. And yeah, a really, really good race. So well done. And
Thank you very much.
are you as confident around Indianapolis?
I've never raced it.
That's a
so
no then.
A lot of practice is going to be needed.
That's a hard no.
Yeah.
Well, good luck for next week. But well done, absolutely superb. And like I say, you got the commentator's driver of the race for this week. So well done.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Aaron.
Cool. I'll go straight to Dom. Dom, well done, mate. Another P3. You've charged from the back. It seems like you just never, ever, ever need to qualify. But that first stint, we noticed you kind of like you stalled a little bit behind Graham after you got past everyone. We just wondered. Well, I think we sort of assumed that you maybe were just saving the tyres a little bit. But as soon as you pitted, that was it. Boom, stint 2. The race seemed to come alive for you. I mean, Adam had his drive through. You got past Kevin, and all of a sudden it was like what was looking like a solid P6 just turned into a P3. You've done it again, mate. How'd you do it? What are you putting in your breakfast? It's unreal.
I think I'm really annoyed because I actually loaded the wrong setup in terms of, and it only subtle, but I loaded the setup without my ballast. So obviously,
no.
because I've got ballast, if I'm practicing offline, I don't have the ballast. So I just get a setup, and then when I do practice online in the server, Adam adds the ballast. So I tweak the pressures. And it was literally on the warm-up lap that I suddenly realised. I looked at my pressures and thought, no, they're 0.3 too high. So both my fronts were at 28.0 after 3 laps. So I just had massive understeer. And obviously was fighting to get past people as well to start with. And the tyres I just killed the tyres in about 8 laps. So I couldn't do any better than I think a 45.8 or something like that for most of the first stint. So a bit of a error on my part, but obviously then was able to adjust the pressures for the pit stop, which gave me the sort of the pace I was expecting to feel a little bit, I think, in stint 2. But I got really lucky to sort of jam into 3rd place, to be honest, because I thought best I was probably going to get was 4th, and I think I was also lucky because I was a good few seconds behind Graham, and then obviously, as he said, he had a bad pit stop. So when I could see him exiting the pit as I was coming down the straight, I lucked into that. And then Kevin was massively struggling on his tyres. I could tell into so many of the corners and in the traction zones, he just had lack of tyres. So as soon as I had a chance, I just went up the inside of the hairpin because I knew he wouldn't be able to get a good exit because he had no traction. So lucked into a P3. To be honest, it feels like it wasn't the most enjoyable race because the first stint, as I say, I found frustrating. But apart from that, I suppose I've got to walk away and think, well, 3rd place was a pretty decent result.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And obviously, the difficulty of Brands kind of ended up doing its sort of swing and roundabout effect of giving you a P3 this week. So karma's probably back even now, and well done, mate. We thought you raced really well, but we were just edged on Graham for driver of the race. So congrats, mate. It was a solid P3 again. But yeah, I'll back over to you, Mike.
Cheers, friend. And just to reiterate, congrats there to Dom. Alan, it looked like you had a really good start. I think you were up in P7, I think it was at one point, and then it just seemed to fall back sort of lap after lap and just didn't quite have the pace to stick with the guys. Anything particular reason, or was it just not your night?
the longer the race went on, the worse the tyres got on that Honda. I really started to struggle to keep the pace up. Like after 20 minutes into a stint, bit of a George Russell moment. Mr. Saturday qualified really well, probably a bit higher than I should have been. Had some good battles in that first little sector. Got a bit fed up of driving the defensive line. Wanted to drive fast as opposed to second half slower, defending my line all the time. But then got spun round at a certain point. And then towards the end, it was actually quite good fun having a little race with Lloyd, who finally got away from me. But I think both myself and Lloyd were back there due to a bit of contact at some point in the race. So didn't spin without being touched. Kept on the lead lap. So happy.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly defended well when you had to, and again, that seems to have become a positive trait of your driving. At least you're able to have those nice, clean battles with people. So it doesn't matter where you finish as long as you can have those battles in it, and it keeps your racing fun.
Yep, exactly. I'm quite happy. I'm quite comfortable with the car, and I know where to stick it to defend. There was a couple of moments where I can't remember. I think it was Damo came through like a torpedo at the hairpin. I don't know if it was caught on stream or not, but I saw it coming and dodged out the air. Someone dodged out the way. Otherwise, that would have been messy. But other than that, really clean race, just except for that one that unfortunately put me back a few places.
Yeah, no, we did get that on stream, and there was some grimaces, should we say, in the comms box. It was one of those, but now as long as you're enjoying it, that's the most important thing, and
Exactly.
still in the top 10, and flying that Honda flag, so you've got my vote every week, mate. But
guys.
well done. Over to you, Aaron.
Cool. I'll go straight to Matt. Good qualifying this week, Matt. I think we picked up on stream that it was P6. You'll see there was a bit of confusion, but we got there in the end. We caught the incident with Alan live on stream. Just it seemed like a little bit of just coming from a long way back. Just wondering if it was maybe a little bit of desperation or whether something went wrong, or just wondering what your thoughts are on it, bud.
Yeah, I've literally just watched it back because until the race finished, at the time I felt like there was more room there than there was. And like Alan said, he's had a bit of a George Russell moment where he's qualified well, and then had moments in the race, not necessarily his fault. I've had a George Russell moment because I felt like I had more space than I did, and that I potentially got turned in on, and I didn't. So apologies there, Alan. I've literally just watched it back again and again, and cringed every single time I've been watching it because it felt like I had so much more room there than I did. And I thought, this is a gap that I'm not gonna get against Alan very much, and it wasn't a gap that I thought it wasn't as big as I thought it was.
That's fair enough, mate. I mean, we caught it on the replay as well. We just thought it was it was semi on. It wasn't off, but it was just
yeah.
It's what it is, especially that type of corner as well. It's it's so easy to do that type of the way that move ended. It's so easy to do.
Yeah. It's that, and it's sort of. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say I get why that move. Might have thought that move was on.
Yeah, it's the sort of corner really, because you're wide and then you do cut across to hit the apex, in that sort of way around that corner. But yeah, it's that and contact with Lloyd on the first lap. So I've ruined two people's races that both finished directly behind me actually. So if the shoes decide to reverse those places and put them two in front of me, then so be it. I enjoyed the race, but there's a shadow over it because of those two incidents for me.
That's very open of you, mate. So fair play. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, after that spin though, it wasn't a terrible race. To be honest, I think he did all right personally. So I think there's still some positives to take away from it.
Yeah, there was a good couple of battles. I enjoyed battles with Zuba and I want to say Dan or Daryl, I can't remember which one it was, to sort of get past them. And the battle up until that point with Alan was amazing. I was absolutely loving it. I was, coming in at corners, he was cutting it back, and it was amazing racing overall until I screwed it for him. So really, really sorry, mate.
That's fair enough, mate. And boom, back over to you, Mike.
Cheers. I'm just going to bring Damo in now. Damien Humphreys, welcome. And they'll look like that race we've been begging for you is just nice and clean, no issues, no contact like Alan had. You're normally on the receiving end of those types of issues, from what we've seen. So it just looked like a nice, clean, simple one and a really good haul of points for you today.
Yeah, I had a boring race and I was happy about it for a change. So the first stint was interesting because I was behind Alan. Yeah, it was Alan for a bit, and I had him on some corners, but he had better traction than me out with some of the corners. So going onto the straight, so I was having a few nibbles, but I didn't quite have enough to obviously make it stick. And then the one which I did make it stick, he surprised me a little bit by braking a little bit earlier than me, and I think I was carrying a bit more speed because of the draft. So it's basically a case of I'm either going for the inside line or I'm going into the back of him. Basically. So I mean, fair play. He saw it coming because if he didn't, we probably would have made contact. I mean, I got it stopped for the apex and around, so it wasn't ridiculous, but. Like I say, it was a case of I was committed about 100 meters further up the road, so I was like, well, this is either happening or not. And then once I got up, and obviously I could pull away a bit, and then got a little bit of clean air. And the second stint, then obviously the clean air all the way, then so the tires held on much better, and it was just a case of keeping my concentration up really, because I didn't see anyone for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, those are the races that can be more difficult, aren't they? Is where you basically just almost doing sort of a practice session when you're on your own for 30, 40 minutes. Those are the ones that can be quite tricky.
You tried to concentrate, but you find yourself drifting off, and you drove half a lap, and you haven't really been paying attention to what you're doing. It's quite weird. But yeah, and obviously your times drop off a little bit as well then when you do that. So yeah, but I'm glad to bring it home. So yeah, happy with that.
Yeah, like I say, got a good finishing position, and like I say, it's nice to see you not being a magnet for other cars for a change. So, so well done and congrats.
Thank you.
Over to you, Aaron.
Cool. I'm going to go to our race winner, Mr. Kingston. Another win in the bag for you this season. We saw you get past Wes once, and then the pit stops happened, and you had to do it all over again. But one thing we theorised in the pit box was that the overcut might be the way to go, purely because of the last 10 minutes of the race. We thought maybe the fresher tyres might work in favour of the drivers. Just wanted to pick your brains really and see if that was the case, or if you just felt like you purely had the faster car and you knew you were going to get back past anyway.
I didn't think I was going to get past, to be honest. After the pit, when I saw him come out, I was like, I've got to give this everything. Because the entire first stint, I was like, I'm just going to sit back, just relax and try and keep the tyres till the end of the stint. And it was working. I felt like I could keep up with Wes, but even in the slipstream, I had no speed on him. And he was just slightly pulling away down the straights, and it was just all in the corners that I was catching up. But yeah, I managed to get round him once, and then I was like, right, let's push on. And then he just stuck with me. I just couldn't get away from him. And then the pit came, and I think I was planning to go for as long as I could, and I think I maybe went one lap too long because my in lap really wasn't that great. And I think that's where Wes just got me. And Foster was right there as well. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh no, here we go. 3-way race coming. But yeah, Wes had great pace today. And luckily me and him just managed to sort of pull away. And yeah, in that second stint, I was like, I've got to give this everything to try and get the win here. Because it was a good chance to pick up some points away from Damo and Foster. Dom and Foster. And that move at the end when I got round, I was cheering in my seat, and I was like, "Come on, let's do this!" And then, It's just a case of keeping it all together for the rest of the race.
No, fair play, mate. We did catch the move on stream, so watch that back.
Yeah.
We caught both moves actually.
Oh, perfect.
But no, I mean, well done, mate. I mean, we noticed actually on the onboard that the slipstream wasn't that powerful for you,
No.
and obviously we put that down for the ballast. And maybe it's with the fact that you might have been running a little bit more wing as well. It didn't look as overpowered as it has been down the straights.
Yeah.
So well done on all the tracks that you want to be quick in a straight line on, because that's probably the only way you're going to get round. This is probably the worst track to come to with ballast,
Yeah.
other than Monza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad Monza's not here.
No, well done, mate. Very well deserved win, and I think it looks like you've got one hand on the championship trophy now.
Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah.
No problem. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah, it's been a cracking season. I mean, it's not over yet. A lot can happen, and we've still got two races. We got three races in effect, because we got sprints next week at Indianapolis. Be a new track to a lot of people, so that'll be interesting for us as well. I'm looking forward to doing the track guide around there, because I haven't driven Indianapolis in a very long time. And then Laguna Seca to finish. I mean, who doesn't love the corkscrew? So we got
a wet Laguna Seca.
A wet Laguna Seca. It hasn't rained there since 1847, but it's raining in 2 weeks' time. It's raining in 2 weeks' time. So we'll look forward to that. We love a wet race.
I might be away that week.
I'll race for you. It's fine. Send me your Steam login. And but now, jokes aside, guys, thanks to everybody for tuning in again. It's been great. Great racing again. Really entertaining. Great to call, and we're really looking forward to, like I say, Indy, new track for a lot of people, and Laguna Seca in the wet. That's going to be really exciting. So lots of racing still to come. This championship, there's one hand on it for Kingston, but that isn't the end of the story. There's still plenty of battles to be had out there. So we look forward to seeing you next week at Indianapolis. But for now, thank you very much from everybody at Final Drive Sim Racing, me and Aaron in the comments box, all the drivers. Well done and thank you, and we'll see you next week.